I trust that people will come in, but as of now, let's go ahead and get started. Today's conversation, we're going to, of course, speak to the beautiful Reverend Evelyn um, about her perspective on the role of spirituality in mental health. But before we get to that, I want to also talk about religion. Um, and let's actually break down the difference between religion and spirituality, if you don't mind.
All right. All right. Well, I'll just quickly introduce myself. My name is Reverend Evelyn, and I am an ordained minister of spiritual consciousness. I am a science of mind prayer practitioner, and I am also a Reiki practitioner. I also do soul collage, but that's another sort of, I'm a soul collage facilitator.
Mm.
Um, so, breaking down the difference between religion and spirituality. So, religion, let's just think of religion as man made. Religion is an invention of the human mind. It's a structure, it is a specific dogma, doctrine, practice, rituals that are heavy on rules. Most religions have a central text. Christianity has the Bible, Islam has the Quran. Um, Most major religions have a central text. And again, they have clergy and rules on rules on rules on rules.
Mhm.
Now, religion can be a beautiful healing practice. It's beautiful for building community. And when it is healthy and when the people in it feel healthy and comfortable and served, it has a wonderful role in society. I always say, and I mean, I think most people realize that human beings, if left unsupervised, are pretty feral, right? Human beings with like Lord of the Flies, it's going to be like Lord of the Flies, right? So religion is a good way to sort of structure reality, to structure human interactions. Religion has rules and laws and all those things. So keeps um, human beings who, left to their own devices, tend to be a little bit on the wild side.
Mhm.
So that's religion. Religion is man-made, dogma, doctrine, rules, structures, obedience, belief, all of that. Spirituality, on the other hand, is more naturally innate in the human species, right?
Mhm.
We human beings are meaning-making animals. And spirituality is the human propensity to go out in nature and sense the presence of something greater than ourselves, right? To see when the snow melts and then the flowers come up in the spring, they know there is some force that's making that happen.
Mhm.
And so spirituality is that sort of observance of the beauty of nature, the loving acknowledgement of a higher power, and knowing that that is innate within us. It's not outside of us. And it's not, there's no rules, there's no dogma, no doctrine around it. It's experiential and it's innate.
Yes. I love that breakdown of it. And I want to ask you something because you did mention that you are a reverend, you are an ordained minister, right? And when a lot of us hear ordained minister, we think religion, we think dogma. However, when you gave your introduction, are very heavy on the spirituality side. So, how, what does that title mean to you, ordained minister,
Mhm.
reverend?
So, what that means to me is that the title of Reverend, for me, I feel like I want to say validate, but I don't, that valid. I'm just gonna say validate. It validates the years of study that I
Mhm.
did, the internal work, the my raising my hand and saying I will be one who will stand in the gap for people.
Mhm.
Um, because in a perfect world, we wouldn't need clergy, right? We wouldn't need ordained ministers, bishops, popes, because each person is capable of having a beautiful, intimate relationship with the, I'm going to say, God of their understanding,
Mhm.
source, universe, spirit, all there is. Every person has the capacity to have that intimate relationship with that. And also, I don't want to leave the atheists out because guess what? There are people on this earth who don't believe that there is any such thing as a higher power, that we
Mhm.
have what they like to call imaginary friends. And so God, I was going to say God bless them. That might be rude. You're free to believe, to have that worldview if that's what makes you happy, right? If that's
Mhm.
what blows your hair in the wind, go for it. But for me, being a reverend, and it's interesting, I have to often explain this because people make a lot of assumptions when you see reverend. I've had people block me on Substack because of my yeah, because they automatically think, oh, where's the caller? She stands up in church on Sunday and she preaches. No, she does not. I mean,
Yeah.
I do speak, I do not preach.
Mhm.
But I am a spiritual but not religious, non-denominational minister.
Mm.
So I have the authority to marry people. That's really
Mhm.
the only official legal reason that you'd need to have an ordination, is
Mhm.
to marry people, because that's a
Mhm.
legal contract.
Yep.
Um, and actually, interestingly, you used to be able to download a certificate for $40 from the internet and then call yourself Reverend, whatever, from the, I can't remember the name of the place.
Mhm.
A lot of those marriages have been now nullified, and people have had to actually, yeah, it was very messy. So yeah, I went to an actual seminary. I went through a consecration and an ordination process, and so it just makes it official. And to me,
Mhm.
it means, one of my teachers said that ministers are willing to do our healing in public,
Mhm.
right? Because
Mhm.
we are not any, I don't want to say better, different from, we've just done a lot of study. And
Mhm.
the area of study I have focused on is spirituality, shadow work, forgiveness, creating rituals, things like that. That's it. Some people focus a lot on math and science. Some people focus on, other things. That's what that's about.
Mhm. I love that you mentioned shadow work, but we won't go there today because we
Yeah.
have a pretty full
We're gonna put that
we
off to
have a
one
pretty
side.
full
Shadow work
conversation.
is, yes.
Yes, yes, it's very important, very essential. But I
Hmm.
love that breakdown that you have around spirituality, and you say that you're non-denominational. And I think that especially in this day and age when we have a lot of people who mainly lean up towards spirituality or being spiritual as opposed to religious, your where you stand is very much so needed. Like we need more reverends in your position who have that mindset, who are open to those of
Yeah,
us
I
who
don't.
are like, yeah, yeah, who are open. So I love that. I love that. And so talking a bit more about religion, I'm from the deep south.
Hmm.
And a lot of times in the South, when you talk about your problems, especially if it's mental health related, give it to God, just pray about it. It'll be all right, et cetera,
Hmm.
et cetera. Even when you're trying to make people be accountable for something or try to help them be accountable in community, you can't do that in a religious standpoint because it's like, gotta forgive them, let God handle it. I'm gonna pray about it and just give it to God. It's like we take this hopelessness that was apparent. Like even though I didn't grow up in the church, I saw that hopelessness there every single moment, it felt like. Um, so talk to me about like from your perspective and just like the history that a lot of us as black people have had in terms of religion being the scapegoat for accountability and on another hand religion being the instead of getting real help mentally we just say we're gonna pray about it.
Yeah, and it's interesting because coming at it from the perspective of a spiritual but not religious minister, as a Black person, as a Black woman, right? I remember growing up hearing, oh, well, therapy's for white people, right?
Mm-hmm.
You just go pray about it and, God will fix it. And yeah, which I feel are all sort of cop outs. Yes, you can pray about it. Okay. I mean, prayer is powerful. Prayer is that connection between it's that conscious connection that we have between ourselves and our source, right?
Mm-hmm.
I pray following the model of affirmative prayer. So, as opposed to beseeching prayer, which is me asking something outside of myself, as the kids say, sky daddy. I what I recognize is the power of the universe that's within me.
Mm-hmm.
So I go within
Mm-hmm.
and I affirm what I know to be true
Mm-hmm.
instead of getting on my knees and praying up, like literally, because I mean, I grew up thinking that God was an old guy in the clouds, you
Same.
know. So yeah, therapy is not it's not just for white people. It's for people who can afford it. I'll just say that. Um, but there used to be. I know before the I was going to say panini. I used to call it the panini because I didn't like to say the word pandemic because it was very triggering. Before the pandemic itself completely shifted the way this culture holds the idea of therapy in consciousness.
Mm.
So many people lost their whatever in the pandemic, and good luck trying to get an appointment with any kind of mental health professional during those years.
Mm-hmm.
They were booked and busy the entire
Mm-hmm.
time because people were just like, and they've done studies about that period of time and like how many people who had never ever gone. I mean, whole different software suites have come up to deal with online therapy appointments and all that. Finding a therapist, I mean, even finding a regular doctor for me, I called to make an appointment one time and it was going to be like 90 days.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, mental health is religion, traditional, not traditional religion. I'm going to say Christian religion, the black flavor, which is what I was exposed to. Although I did attend Catholic school growing up, but we were not Catholic. Um, yeah, they just sort of gloss over, and I don't know what it is like now, but I know when I was young and when I was growing up, I'm in my 50s, so that was a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
It was like you said, pray about it. You could go talk to your minister, but it was hit or miss as to your minister's ability to help you with that issue. They would pray with
Mm-hmm.
you. They would for sure pray with you, which is support. It's community support. But yeah, it's therapy with a licensed mental health professional is there's the stigma of it is pretty much gone now, thank you to the
Yeah.
pandemic. And so I think people really need to realize that there's nothing at all wrong with asking for help when you need it.
Mm-hmm.
And that, yes, you can pray about it, but then you also go on the internet and find a therapist.
Yeah. I agree with that. I agree. And one of the things that inspired me to do this kind of series, especially this conversation around spirituality and mental health, is because when you do get help mentally, they always ask, what is your spiritual practice?
Mhm.
Or like, what do you have and even sometimes, what's your religion? And
Mhm.
so it's always interesting how even that spirituality is a part of like your mental health type of self-care or like care package.
Absolutely.
However, on the other hand, especially when it comes to religion and even some spiritualists don't have mental health as a part of that self-care practice. you know.
Yes.
So it's very interesting that that's it's mental health is like, yeah, get your spirituality on, but spiritualists are, and some religious people and some spiritualists are like, you don't really need that.
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's fascinating. There is a connection between your spiritual health and your physical health.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if you are facing a physical health challenge, it's going to, of course, play on your mental health and your spiritual health.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very important to get all those things in order because, they do, they have, I know when I had COVID, I mean, I feel yeah, I feel like COVID, when I had COVID the first time, I don't think I've ever been that sick
Mm-hmm.
because I don't really get sick a lot. And
Mm-hmm.
when I had it, um, it was it was so bad, but I was home by myself, and I just thought, do I go to the hospital? But then I thought the hospital is full of sick people who are sick with this. They'll put me on a respirator and then I'll die. But I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I just remember going in and out of the fever, thinking like, okay, you've lost your mind. You've actually lost your mind. Like I just remember, like, you know what I mean. So there, and then when the fever part was over and I was just on the mend, not having the strength to sit up in bed, and so just like laying there with your thoughts. We talked about shadow work just a
Mm-hmm.
little time. We mentioned shadow work.
Mm-hmm.
I was just kind of like, it's dark in here. It's
Mm-hmm.
dark in here, and I'm unsupervised. So
Mm-hmm.
there is such a link between what's going on in the physical body, what's going on in the mind, and forget about the brain, the organ of the brain, right?
Your
So
mind.
having support, having spiritual support, having mental health support is just as important as having support from your doctor who's taking care of your physical body. All of
Mm-hmm.
those things work together in
Mm-hmm.
unison. And if one is off, the other ones are going to be off to that degree.
Yes, I love the fact that you just said that. I was always taught, it was always told to me that, like, of course, the spiritual energy, the way that energy moves, it's like through spiritual first, your spiritual self first, then your mental, your emotional, then your physical. Like basically, once it gets to that mental emotional thing, it's going to manifest itself physically, right?
Hmm.
And of course, like when it comes to wellness, people's focus, like my focus a lot of times tends to be on the spiritual wellness first, right? And I don't think these things work linearly. I think it is a cyclical thing because there are times where it's like I can't get my mind right. Ain't nothing I do spiritual gonna be good. Um,
Yep.
so I want to know, like, what of course you can respond to what I said, but also for you, when your mental has plagued you to the point where you can't really sit down to do your spiritual practices, what did you do to kind of get yourself back on center?
Um, I've never had a situation where my mental health was to the point where I couldn't do my spiritual practices.
Okay.
Except, of course, when I was very, very ill. Okay, except for
Mm-hmm.
that. Because, like, there were times when, as I said, I didn't have the energy to sit up in bed.
Mm-hmm.
So I was doing, I mean, when I had to go to the bathroom, I would wait. I would just wait until it would become an emergency, and then I would crawl out of the bed
Mm-hmm.
and I would crawl to the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
So, other than that, I'm so grateful that I've never had that sort of a situation. Um, but what I have learned is, are you familiar with Louise Hay? Excuse me. She has a book called "You Can Heal Your Life."
Mm-hmm.
So there's basically a chart. I was going to say spreadsheet. That's like a chart in the book that has these. It's a directory of, like, it links the ailment the physical manifestation of a something going on in your body with a spiritual thing.
I think I know what
Like,
church you're talking about.
mhm.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So for example, if you are walking around with lower back pain,
Mm-hmm.
you're not feeling supported,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, if you have pain in your, right knee, it's something to do with your, I never get these right, whether it's the maternal or paternal side, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
So your left knee would be one
Yep.
side is maternal,
Maternal.
the other
Yep.
side is paternal.
Yep.
Um, so things like that. So it physically, hey Nubia Latifa is just saying hello.
Hey,
Glad you're here.
Nubia. Yes.
So it's good to know that someone has made those connections and that there is a tangible, like I used to get laryngitis a lot
Mm-hmm.
because I wasn't speaking my truth.
Speaking, yeah.
And so I called in to a show one time where there was someone talking about spiritual stuff or whatever. And they're like, you're literally losing your voice because you are a light worker and you're
Mm-hmm.
not doing your work. This person didn't know me from a hole in the wall.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't say anything about anything spiritual. I said, I keep getting this thing in my throat where
Mm-hmm.
I literally, it would be scratchy, scratchy, scratchy. And then I would lose my voice for about, I was going to say, Tracy could tell you. Tracy's on here. I would lose my voice. And this person who didn't know me from a hole in the wall just diagnosed me. He's like, you
Mm-hmm.
are a light worker. You're not doing your work. And so
Mm-hmm.
you are literally losing your voice.
Mm-hmm.
And so once I answered that, because I had to deal with a lot of insecurity, not enoughness,
Mm-hmm.
all that. Once I addressed that and I started my formal spiritual study late in life. Even though I was a very spiritual person, I was a church girl. I was, you know, studying the Bible, teaching other people, teaching Sunday school, teaching the Bible, all that. I didn't start, the first formal study I did was um, becoming a Reiki practitioner. And from that, I went and became a prayer practitioner.
Mm-hmm.
And then, literally, the week after I was licensed as a prayer practitioner, I started my um, ministerial program. So, yeah, it's like there is, you, as you said, it starts in the spiritual,
Mm-hmm.
and then whatever those issues are will manifest in the body if you don't address them.
Mm-hmm. And that's where that shadow work is important. Like we're trying to not have the
I
conversation on
know.
shadow work,
Shadow work
but
keeps creeping in. It keeps creeping in. It's creeping in.
it's like
Yeah.
right there though. But the
Yeah.
shadow stuff is important to even to discuss even when we're talking about mental health
Mm-hmm.
because it's not just the things that we don't want to see or that's bad or negative about our psyche, but it's also the things that we've suppressed that are good for us, like things that we liked and enjoyed as children that we society told us no, 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 don't do that, so we suppress those things, suppress our likes and our desires. All of those live in the shadows, so of course
Yeah.
suppression is one of those main things that's going to affect your mental health. Expect Also affect the way that you show up spiritually or engage in spirituality. And I think a lot of the times the reason why people think spirituality is evil is because of that lack of shadow work.
Yep.
um,
There's a lot of
people, yeah.
spiritual bypassing.
Hmm.
A lot of a lot of that. A lot of, in other words, it's analogous to going to your minister and saying, "Oh, pray about it." Do you know what I
Hmm.
mean? It's like that's also that's also spiritual bypassing. Instead of saying, "Well, let's sit down and dig into that,"
Hmm.
But I feel like the way I like to sort of take the, I don't know, sort of spooky, maybe edginess off of shadow work is that I call it, you're really shedding light on the untended parts,
Hmm.
untended aspects of ourselves. So rather than it being like shadow, which has connotations of like um, maybe negative connotations, right?
Mm-hmm.
I like to couch it in the those things that are untended. Like if you have house plants and you go away for 2 weeks and you don't have anybody coming in to water them, when you come back, they're going to be
Yep. Yep.
right because they've been untended. And there are aspects of ourselves, of our consciousness, that are untended. We've neglected them. Like you said, things that we took pleasure in, that we think are unacceptable,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we push them aside and say,
Mm-hmm.
no, I want to be a grown up, and here's how I'm going to dress, here's how I'm going to present myself, because that's a childish thing, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's why I also think that religion adds to mental health issues because it adds to suppression,
Mm-hmm.
guilt and shame about certain things, sexuality, thoughts, liking certain things, can't wear this, etc. Some are to the extreme, not even being able to wear makeup. So this red lip talk would not be able to happen. So yeah, I know that a lot of us, even though like I didn't grow up in the church, those things because I have a lineage, my ancestors, they live in my blood and bone. Those are things that I've had to decode and work through. When it comes to spirituality. Um,
Yep.
yeah.
Sexuality
Mhm.
is huge. My I grew up in the at the very beginning of the purity culture,
Mm-hmm.
and for whatever reason, purity culture only applied to the girls.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's a spot. I'm not gonna flash it on the on the live, but there's a spot on my chest where I have a mole,
Mm-hmm.
and it's about half an inch above where my cleavage starts.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother would say if I wore a shirt and she could clearly see the mole, she would go take that shirt off.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't wear this lipstick. I couldn't wear eye makeup because
Mm-hmm.
I mean all of the I have these I have yoga pants that I wear like out and about and doing whatever. When I was growing up,
Mm-hmm.
could I have left the house? Oh my, scandal upon scandal. The
Mm-hmm.
skirts had to be a certain length and all that, and you had to behave in a certain way because you didn't want the boys to struggle. You didn't want to
Mm-hmm.
make the boys struggle. I'm like, but what about the girls?
Right. Right.
So it was just like so hypocritical and so fake. Uh yeah, but purity culture, when you're sexually repressed, that's again you're stuffing the shadow full of,
Mm-hmm.
because the metaphor I love to use is that old the thing about when you're in the swimming pool and you have a beach ball, right? And you can press that beach ball down until it is no longer at the surface.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Everyone's looking around, oh, nobody can see the beach ball because you're like exerting a lot of energy pushing it down. That
Right.
ball is still there. It
Right.
has not disappeared. It is still there. It still has all the power that it
Mm-hmm.
had. And as soon as you let up one little bit of strength from pushing it down, it's going to pop up.
Mm-hmm.
And if you move your hands, it's going to explode, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the beach ball is suppressing your sexual desire, your sexual identity, all of that. And purity culture asks you to hold that beach ball under the water.
Mm-hmm.
And so people do that until they can't press it down anymore, and then it
Mm-hmm.
it explodes in their face, and it's unhealthy. Sexual energy is creative energy.
Yes, I was about to say that. So
Why
good.
on
Speak on it.
earth would the creator
Mm-hmm.
create our bodies where in order to reproduce you
Mm-hmm.
have to engage in, do you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's not like a side thing. It's the main thing.
Yep.
And but the church treats it like it's they treat women they act as if women are sexual um, beings that are dangerous to men.
Yeah. Woman, thou art loose. It's never the men who are loose. And sexual is creative energy. It's also emotional too.
Hmm.
That water energy. So it's like when we're suppressing it, we're again affecting our mental and our emotional state, well being. It's just so much that has been a crutch when it
Yep.
comes to religion and our mental health, like as a Black community.
Hmm.
Which is why I thought this conversation was just so very, very important. And when people, let me ask you this. What do you think is a key thing for people to deprogram from their religious being to evolve into spirituality if they feel led to do that?
People who are there are some people who are going to be naturally led to that, as I was. The thing is, it's a whole process, because if you were born into it like I was and thoroughly indoctrinated into the religion, you grow up with it. It becomes a part of your nervous system.
Hmm.
um because these beliefs, like, I wrote a piece about the doctrine of hell tormented my childhood,
Mm-hmm.
right? um so you just really have to, this is not really an answer I can give, like, oh, do this and this,
Hmm.
but you have to deconstruct all of those play. It's kind of like there's a vine that's growing that has you encased, and you're covered in this vine, and all of
Hmm.
a sudden you realize, I can just take some clippers and just cut this and the vines will be off, you
Hmm.
know but every now and then you're going to find a place where, oh, the vine is still there, you know where
Hmm.
something happens. There's this real um dichotomy, this black and white, right and wrong, hard line that comes with religion, um that is just not so, not it's not always straight down the middle, black, white, evil, good. Do you know what I mean? There's a
Hmm.
lot going on in the gray area.
Yes.
you know the 10 commandments, don't get me started on the 10 commandments, because first of all, there's not just 10. They come from all different groups of laws in history, loosely
Hmm.
based on, there's influences from Ma'at. There's
Yep.
influences from other. Listen, Ma'at is a far. If you want set of rules, Ma'at is far superior than the Ten Commandments.
Yes.
Let's just be
Yes.
clear,
Yes.
because But anyway, yeah, that's just. Oh,
Speak on it.
I don't want to get myself in trouble.
I love it, but it's so necessary. And hi, Becky. I didn't get a chance to say hey to you and Fatima as well. But yes, that is it's real what you're speaking on. I think
Yeah.
that you said a point. For me, I feel like deconstructing and decolonizing the mind from white supremacy is the same as deconstructing from religion in a lot of ways, because of course that was what was weaponized to even indoctrinate us in the first place, their religion. um and so, oh, Jay, you're here too. So I think that, so when you said that it takes a while, and that it's something that you realize is still there, it's because we still live in this society, is what
Yep.
I've learned, like that, where the indoctrination is constantly happening, whether we're aware of it or not. When we engage with people, they're constantly being indoctrinated, we're constantly being indoctrinated. If we've done our work, there's no guarantee that they've done theirs. So it's like this awareness that we have to kind of always be in, and not like a paranoia, but just like an awareness, like observe is like to.
Well,
So I think,
it's
yeah.
not just indoctrination though,
Mm-hmm.
Nandita, because if you think about it, this country, this settler colony, fancies itself a Christian nation.
True.
Okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Our laws, our laws are based on
Mm-hmm.
Levitical law in the Old
Yeah.
Testament. Because
Yeah.
a lot of the laws in this country are based on laws from England, and
Mm-hmm.
their laws are based on Levitical
Yeah.
law and the laws of you know that you have to be man and woman married, um, property inheritance,
Mm-hmm.
just all kinds of things. It's all based on, so the religion
Mm.
is baked
Mm-hmm.
into the culture.
Mm-hmm.
So you can, on a personal level, deconstruct,
Yep.
which takes as long as it takes.
Mm-hmm.
Because every day you're gonna realize, oh, I still believe XYZ,
Yep.
you know? Um, and what I also want to talk about a little bit too is that you don't have to be spiritual. You don't have to be religious. You don't have to be spiritual. You don't need to know your birth chart. You don't need to know astrology. You don't need to have crystals. You don't need to burn sage. You don't need to meditate or do yoga or any of those things. You are a human being.
Mm-hmm.
You are created in the image of your creator.
Mm-hmm.
Just by breathing, just by
Mm-hmm.
existing, you are a spiritual being.
Yes.
You don't have to, like I said, do any of those things. Burn sage, meditate, do ayahuasca, any of that stuff. You are perfect, whole, complete, unique in and of yourself.
As is, I agree. Mm-hmm.
You just have to, if you want to, you can just go within. You can meditate, enter the stillness in silence, and just like, take a bottle of water, go sit out on a hillside and just breathe. That's all you need. We don't need
Yep.
all these formalized structures of like, sitting in a particular position. I mean, that's all fine
Mm-hmm.
if you love that, if that works for you. But I mean, move your body. Move your body. Feed your body good, clean food and love yourself. That can be your religion.
Mm-hmm.
And be kind.
Yep.
Be kind to people. Be kind to your body. Be kind to the earth. Do you know what I mean? We don't need all of these, because again, human beings are meaning making organisms. So we're always trying to, create little structures around things. But, our ancestors who lived in caves, they had their own relationship with that power greater than themselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree with that. And like you said, there are ways in which we can get to our higher self. Like I sometimes feel like, or I know that because we live in a capitalistic society, spirituality too has become a lot of times
Yep,
capitalized, right? So
yep,
there are these things about the crystals and these things that you have to have, things that you have to look like. Like I even have one that says I have article that I wrote like, are you metaphysical or are you more spiritual? Because it's easy to be. Hold on.
yep,
Yeah, sorry about that. I had to mute real quick. But you have to that instance of knowing your spirituality as well as like what is it that I'm drawn to? Am I drawn to the aesthetics or am I drawn to embodying spirit?
absolutely.
Um and that is why even I do the embodying spirit collective because it's like I don't have people buying nothing in that. It's literally everything. We start off with deconstruction work. Even books, I'm like, it's all internal numbers, numerology. What does it feel like for you? Like going inward, literally. And of course, in that, there's multiple ways that you and options that you can do
Yep,
to go inward, like breath work, like meditation, like eating well, like those things. And at the same time, it's difficult, I found, to tell people, because everything that you say is like, where's a book on that? Where's the book on that? It's like, I just said in the first
It's
week
right
to
here.
you.
It's right here.
Yes.
Go
Yes.
within. Yes. Because guess what? God, creator, source, universe, whatever, doesn't
Mhm.
need a book because
Mm-mm.
we are connected to it.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's in a book, then the words in that book came from another human being
In their
with
perspective.
their own biases and with
Mm-hmm.
their own whatever,
Mm-hmm.
right? I've come to start calling the Christian Bible, no shade, but Bronze Age fairy tales, because it was written, it's so plagiarized, and it was also is written for the people of that time.
Mm-hmm.
I really bet, I don't know what, that the people who wrote the Bible back, however many thousands of years ago, would never have thought that the human beings who inhabited this planet 2,000, 3,000 years later would still be reading that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right?
That part. And taking it literally.
And taking it, well, no, taking a lot of it literally.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot in there that people just gloss over and ignore. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, about 10 or so years ago, there was a guy who, for a year, lived according to the Bible. Like everything. He didn't shave his beard. He wore that kind of clothes. He followed every rule, like all that. And it's not sustainable, but so much of what he was doing, people aren't doing.
Everybody wasn't doing it.
So, yeah, so if people who follow the Bible follow, they cherry pick what they follow.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes, that is very real. I love that. I love that. I feel like that conversation on spirituality versus metaphysical world and that shallow work conversation is something that we could talk to for another hour
Yeah,
about
exactly.
for another hour, but we don't have that time.
No, we don't.
And I want to be respectful of your time. Um, so I guess for me, as we're wrapping this up, first, well, I'd say that last, but what is like a lasting message that you would want to leave people with when it comes to this conversation, spirituality and mental health?
The thing that I would want people to take away from this is that there's nothing wrong with you. There is nothing wrong with you, and no one is against you.
Mm-hmm.
So, what I would recommend people to do is, you can meditate without meditating. You don't have to sit in a chair, but I think that there's, in living in this society, this culture that we live in, silence
Mm-hmm.
and stillness, if that's the only thing you take away, is find a way to schedule in some time to be silent and to be still in your day. And if you say that you don't have time for it, then you need it even more.
Yeah.
If you take nothing else away from this conversation but the fact that you are connected to your divine source within you, so you
Mm-hmm.
don't need the sky daddy, you don't need the books, you don't need the crystals, you don't need the Palo Santo, you don't need the Florida water, all that, you don't need to burn no sage. You need to go somewhere and sit your behind down
Mm-hmm.
and be still and be silent. I am telling myself that. I have
Mm-hmm.
ADHD, and good luck getting me to sit still and be silent, but I do it. It takes about 5 to 7 minutes for me to go all the way in, because in the beginning, I say, the monkey mind, my monkeys are caffeinated. they
Mm-hmm.
are they are on some, they might even be taking meth, I don't know, but the monkeys that are going on in between my ears, it's like Cirque du Soleil. Okay, so I understand that it's easier said than done,
Mm-hmm.
but it is so, that is your key to linking spirituality to mental health, is that
Mm-hmm.
If you mark my words, if you set aside 10 minutes a day to be still and to be silent, and you do it every day, come back in 30 days and tell me how you're feeling. I bet you
Mhm.
there's going to be miracles in your life.
Yes. And it can be as simple as eating silently and just focusing on your meal. So if you
Hmm.
say you don't have time, everybody has to eat. If you were scrolling while you were eating, don't scroll no more. Just focus solely on your eating. You know, if you're getting up ready to go to work, don't listen to music or scroll while you're on the toilet. Just be with yourself. Like mindfulness and stillness is not another thing to do. It's something that you're just getting rid of to just incorporate.
Yep. If you
Yeah.
have to park your car and
Hmm.
go from your car into work,
Hmm.
park your car. Don't park it in the parking lot. I mean, be
Hmm.
safe. I mean, I'm not, park it as far away as you can for your car to be safe and for you to get to work on time.
Hmm.
And walk from your car to your desk or whatever kind of work you do in silence. No buds, no mental list chatter, walking
Hmm.
meditation. That's so you don't
Hmm.
have to reschedule anything. You don't have to, that's it.
Yep. Yep.
These are
I
easy
love that.
ways. These are easy sort of ways to fit in a little bit of silence and a little bit of stillness into your
Hmm.
life. And it is magic medicine.
Yes, it is. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to speak to you. Every time I do, I feel like I can talk to you for 50 years.
Thank you, Mandisa. Thank you for having me. This has been lovely.
Yes, and I will talk to you next time. Peace.
Bye bye.